Welcome to TechCast, the podcast that quenches curiosity, powered by Q&A Markham. TechCast, where we deep dive into the exciting world of technology, bringing you the latest trends, innovations, and thought-provoking discussions. Join us on this exciting journey as we explore the boundless possibilities of technology.
Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the WomenAtWork series. We had announced this series on International Women's Day, and it has been an amazing journey since, talking to various women who are motivating and inspiring. Today I have a very special guest. I have Magdalena Konig, who is the General Counsel at AIQ, and she is here to share her journey with us. Welcome, Magda. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited for this conversation.
Same here. So, and I think Magda is your short name,
Absolutely.
right?
Magda, that's absolutely fine.
I love it. All right. So, Magda, tell us a little bit about your journey so far. What brings you here, or what brings you to Abu Dhabi, and what has your journey, like your career journey, been so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm a UK qualified lawyer.
Okay.
I qualified as a technology and a commercial lawyer, and I spent around kind of 8 years kind of honing my craft, if you will, in the UK, working for all different types of clients, private, public sector, working on all different types of technology arrangements, cloud, outsourcing, licensing, all that kind of juicy stuff, which is very big in the press at the moment.
Yes.
And it's a really exciting time. I then got a really exciting opportunity to come and work at the Altaya Group in Dubai as their technology lawyer. Okay. And at the time I was looking to do something slightly different, to see or look to a different avenue rather than being a private practice lawyer within a law firm. So I moved in-house. So for those that aren't familiar with the legal profession, that means, being a lawyer within a business. So you're a trusted legal advisor, usually part of a leadership team. You advise the board, you advise the shareholders, you advise the leadership. So from that role at Altaya, I got another opportunity to be the group technology lawyer for ADNOC in Abu Dhabi. So around kind of 5 or so years ago, I moved across to Abu Dhabi to be the group's technology lawyer across all of their group companies and HQ. And as part of that role, we did the deal to develop a joint venture between ADNOC and Group 42, which is what we now know as AIQ. So when we completed that deal, I moved across to become the General Counsel. So what that means, again, for those that aren't familiar with the legal profession or that type of terminology, so I'm the head of the legal, governance and compliance function. I report directly into the CEO. I advise the board, the shareholders. I have a lot of leverage and input on strategic leadership decisions. I'm part of our executive leadership team. It's a really, really fast-paced job. I can
imagine.
I deal with all types of queries in terms of, which contract you use for XYZ, in terms of how do we build a strategy for, our, business plan or our growth strategy. And I also, manage those 3 different functions and the risk profile that goes along with those.
Wow. Okay.
So that's my kind of career in a nutshell. I mean, if you'd asked me even just a couple of years ago, would you be in this position, or would you be the General Counsel of, as of last week? Big
group company, right?
Yeah. So we're part of the ADNOC and the G42 groups of companies. Last week we had a really exciting development and a share sale, which saw AIQ, after only kind of 3 years, become the fastest ever unicorn in MENA.
Wow.
With a valuation of $1.4 billion. So, and I was the first ever employee actually of AIQ and put the joint venture together. So it's been a crazy,
gratifying as well, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I was day one employee. There was nothing. No people, no technology, absolutely nothing. And to go from that to, we have over 20 plus products. We have, developed POCs and pilots. So actually, I should say what we do as a company. We develop and deploy all homegrown artificial intelligence solutions to support and develop the energy sector.
Right.
So that includes promoting automation, promoting sustainability in terms of developing better processes and digitization within the oil and gas and the broader energy sector. And like I say, we have over 20 products which have been developed homegrown in Abu Dhabi, so made in the Emirates, make it in the Emirates, and then deployed across various businesses. So it's been such a gratifying journey to be part of building that business.
That's amazing.
And then seeing the valuation and the share sale that happened last week was just,
that's the most gratifying part.
It was fantastic. Yeah, it's been really, really good fun. And I'm told the fun is just actually about to start.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
Exactly.
So I'm curious to know, and we were speaking about this earlier, you're in like 3 sectors, and all 3 of them are like really male dominated. So, whether we talk about energy sector, which ADNOC is part of, or the technology sector, where you are the, legal counsel for the technology sector, and of course, legal law. So all 3 of them have primarily been very male dominated sectors. And here you are, kind of bridging the gap in all 3 sectors heading those complexities, within all 3 sectors, within the AIQ now. So, how do you kind of look back at that? Because sometimes you're in it and you don't realize that you're doing it, right? And you don't realize the hardships that you faced, and you don't realize that, you have made it, and it's time to kind of reflect back. So, how do you feel you've made it in this male-dominated sector, and what have been some of the key challenges that you've kind of had to overcome to get here?
So you're basically asking me to give away all my secrets, is what you're saying. Okay, cool. That's absolutely fine. No, I think it's really interesting that the role I have at the moment does bridge or include these kind of 3 traditionally very male-dominated
Well, I mean,
areas.
I think technology is changing very rapidly. Like I myself from the technology sector, so I think that sector is still seeing a lot of like women, like engineers, people from STEM coming into technology. But the other 2 sectors, like energy and law, is definitely like very male dominated.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, funnily enough, if you actually look at the use of AI in recruitment practices, there's been a lot of criticism about the biases towards male employees if you utilize AI in recruitment practices, especially in STEM. And this
AI
is a particular
man
example.
Too? Just kidding.
Well, no, this is a particular example of AI used in the recruitment process at Amazon, because men are so predominantly historically within the certain professions and within certain job roles, the AI it learns on the data that it has available to it. So obviously then the AI model is biased towards males in certain technology roles. So AI ethics and governance is a topic that's really important to me. Sorry, so I've completely detracted from your question, but that's just an interesting point. You are right though. In the fields that I do work in, energy, technology and law, there's a lot of proactivity in terms of encouraging women into these fields, and not necessarily just encouraging women into the field, but encouraging them to stay, because you find that especially with the legal profession, you have a higher amount of female graduates in law, but then after they get to a certain level, it might be to do with family circumstances or for various other reasons, you don't see them progress beyond a certain level. For me, one of the challenges and the thing I faced with that in that regard is that you don't end up then seeing a lot of females in those key leadership roles, those key kind of mentors, the person that you can say, okay, this is the person I want to be like. What am I working towards? I want to be like XYZ. You don't have that that window, or you don't have visibility, and those kind of characters, those roles aren't available to you. Something that I think, and someone told me earlier on actually, and this is an interesting point in terms of the the role of mentors in your career versus the role of a sponsor. You'll hear a lot of people talk about, you should get a mentor, people to tell you how to do things, essentially. Or I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but it's a kind of a guidance role.
True.
I was told earlier on by a male counterpart, and this is fantastic advice, whether you're talking to men or to women, actually, something that's more useful a lot of the time is a sponsor. So who's going to be that person supporting you, bigging you up, for a better word, helping you open those doors, and if you're female, breaking through any particular stereotypes or glass ceilings. So I would say, if you're in these types of industries, look to a person or people that could be your sponsors, who's going to assist you in opening those doors or reaching those potential goals, rather than just saying, maybe like I'm saying now, this is how I did it, because you can never recreate their template or recreate their experiences, but who can assist you on that, that journey. I think to talk about, just general challenges, I think that women face, not necessarily just in the industries I work in, but across the board, is there is this ingrained, I think, I'll call it bias and stereotyping. And I and so many of my colleagues, you may have even experienced it yourself. I think it's ingrained in society sometimes for women to take on certain roles. And I find that a lot of women, especially in a corporate setting and a leadership setting, can be sometimes too helpful, to their detriment. So for example, you'll find in a lot of meetings, the woman, even though she might be at the same seniority of everyone else sitting around the table, she will be dubbed, or she'll be allocated as being the note taker. She's the minute taker, or she's going to set up the next meeting. So you end up being stereotyped into this kind of administrative, more what I would say secretarial role, just by virtue of being one of the only women, or if you continually say yes to these types of activities,
then you get typecasted.
If you're in a group of your peers, okay, I'll do the minutes this meeting, you do the minutes next meeting, unless there's a formal structure that says that's my role in this committee or task force or whatever it is you're talking about. But actually there should be more of a, women should be pushing back on that type of role. And it's about setting boundaries with your co-workers and with your colleagues. And you can do that, in a non-confrontational manner. You can do it, it doesn't have to be aggressive, but it's knowing, where your worth is in terms of your corporate experience. I'm far more valuable to talking about, the strategy of the business plan than setting up your next meeting. Not to say that we all need to have meetings set up, so that's absolutely fine. But, that's not my key role. So don't be too, I've got to be careful saying this, don't be too helpful. Because you'll be, you don't want to kind of typecast yourself, like you say. But those are just some of the challenges, or some of the ways.
Yes, and I think they seem like subtle challenges, but I think they make a big difference when it all adds up, right? Being absolutely. Like if you go to like any organization, the HR role or the marketing role, those tend to be like women, but then the finance, the legal, the CEO role, or like the executive office, those tend to be more men. So overall, when you see in an organization, you would see that, I mean, they can stick their neck out and be like, oh, we have like 40-50% women, but which departments are they working in? What kind of roles they're working in? That makes a difference. So I think today a lot of companies get away with saying that, we have an equal split of men and women in our workforce or within the company. But then when you actually analyze which departments and what kind of roles, you see the junior, the secretarial, the administrative, the marketing, and those kind of roles tend to be housed with the women, and then the men are in the more strategic, market moving kind of roles. So is there something you are doing consciously to kind of make sure in your capacity to kind of promote more inclusivity, for women, not just within an organization, but within the various departments as well?
So within AIQ and across ADNOC more generally, we have a real we have instilled a real kind of culture. I'll say it's a culture of compliance, and it's a culture of people first. And in line with both of those kind of nuances is the diversity and inclusion piece. We're actually really, really lucky at AIQ in that obviously the large proportion of our personnel is in our technology team. And we have, I believe at the moment, about 25% of that team comes from females, which is, a really high figure for this space. So we're really, really proud of that, and we actively encourage that. We have a lot of reach out programs to the likes of local universities like Khalifa University, Mohammed bin Zayed University, and we obviously actively encourage their programs in terms of STEM and female inclusion. Interestingly, I was just reading that ADNOC's training and inclusion programs in relation to STEM and women in education has had a really, really valuable, successful, or it's been really successful in its implementation. So there's quite a lot of company-led initiatives. But great. I think in addition to the initiatives themselves, you have to have leadership that what I would say, do you know what I mean, if say drinks the Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
It's a top-down approach which really filters down through everything that you do. So when leadership is really mindful of these things, ADNOC a couple of years ago, they developed the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, and one of their goals is to instill all of the diversity and inclusion goals into everything that they're doing. So it's looking at when you're looking at a new vendor, okay, what are their diversity figures? You take more consideration into human rights, policies, procedures more generally, what type of activity are you doing there? From my perspective, you can just look at data and statistics to say that diverse teams are more productive.
Yes.
Diverse companies make more money. Yeah. It's not me saying this. There are various studies and statistics which demonstrate that diversity has a really positive and measurable impact on corporations. So I think that leadership should be really mindful of the message that they're instilling across their teams to, activate what policies and procedures that they have in place in that regard.
Right. And I think you on a personal level are also doing your part. And I know you do a lot of, motivational speaking as well and speak to other groups of women. So can you tell us a little bit more about, it's great from an AIQ level, but on a personal level, what you're doing to kind of, do your part. If you can change, I always say, if you can change even one mind, right? Or you can inspire at least one person, then that's kind of a job well done, right? And maybe you have to reach out to many to change that one mind, but
it's worth it when you do.
It's worth it when you do. Yeah.
So for a long time I've been active as a kind of a mentor, either in the legal space or more recently in the technology space. I've worked with institutions in the UK, and at the moment I work with one online kind of via Zoom and Africa, which deals with various African universities and how they encourage students to build up their presentation skills in terms of how they're developing proposals and public speaking, which is actually really exciting. But so that's just one of the things that I really like doing. Like you were saying, we were just chatting before the show, I just live my life with, have goals and things I want to achieve, but I put one foot in front of the other, to achieve that. And it's only when somebody, that might be 21 or, is a junior in their career, comes up to you and says, oh, I've noticed that you've done X, Y, Z. And I'm really inspired by that. It pushes you forward as well to go, actually, I'm just this, technology lawyer from the UK. A couple of years ago, I would never have even acknowledged or believed. And I think that's an issue, not an issue, that it's a discussion point as well in terms of imposter syndrome amongst women. Friends of mine, colleagues of mine, very successful women, it's so prevalent.
Yeah.
You know, I think lots of people will know about statistics that men are far more likely to apply for a job that they have no qualifications for than women would, you know. So and actually that comes from a personal experience recently where, you know, a colleague of mine has been promoted to a fantastic position, and you know they don't think they can do it, you know, or the rhetoric or the narrative of the conversations I'm having is that they're not sure if they can do it. Well, they wouldn't promote you if they didn't think you could do it. Having that self-belief and you know, knowing that you can, you know, do the things that you can do, and actually it's fine accepting that you probably don't know how to do all these things. And
I don't think men do either.
They don't. Well, no, they do. They think they definitely can do all these things.
Wing
They're
it.
just very confident. They're very confident. But I think the more senior you get, like, you realise everybody is just winging it. You are so right. Yeah. And one of the phrases that I love, it's a bit cliche, but I love the phrase, feel the fear and do it anyway. Mm-hmm. So, like, every day I go to work, loads of scary stuff happens. Like, and don't tell anyone, I don't know how to do any of it. Right. Like, or that's how I feel anyway. Yeah. But I mean, maybe it sounds too wishy-washy to say somehow I do it, but you prioritize things, you write lists, you build a network of people and advisors, and you know, from a professional context and even outside of work as well, to guide you, and you can find yourself you can find your way through it. Even, you know, doing podcasts, it's really scary, you know, but you well, personally, I like to do really hard things in my personal life as well. You know, I'm a competitive bodybuilder when I'm not in my corporate job. So I like to do really hard, horrible, challenging things, because I think the reward and the mental resilience and the mindset and the sense of achievement and the sense of internal power that you get from doing hard things, even when you don't know how to do them, is fantastic. It's such a rewarding feeling.
And I think that's a very, very powerful, you know, statement that you brought out in terms of, you know, that belief that women need to really have in themselves. Like, I feel women constantly undersell themselves in every situation, right? It's like you are wanting approval, but you're underselling your skills at every single point of time, and be it asking for a good pay, right? Like at the negotiating table, the men would, you know, negotiate far more confidently a higher salary than a woman could. And in terms of promotions, to like push for promotions, men would like fight for their seat on the table more than women would. So like, I think it's just that belief that, you know, I am, if not better, you know, equal to, you know, what a man can do on the job. I think that is such an important message to get to like all the young women out there today as well, saying that, you know, believe in yourself. You're not short of anybody else who is competing for the same position, gender irrespective, and to be able to just push through, power through, and wing it, right? Because I think a lot of the work skills are acquired on the job, like no university degree. Like, I'm sure your degree in law did not teach you for the kind of things that you are facing at AIQ on a daily basis, right? And same for me, like everything that I learned in my, you know, with my engineering degree or my MBA didn't kind of train me for the consultant that I had to become, because every consulting project was so different that no tool in my previously acquired educational kitty kind of prepped me for, you know, those kind of projects. But you just learn on the go. You just be like,
you do. Again, maybe I love these kind of Instagrammable phrases a bit too much, but you don't know something until you know it.
Of course.
You know?
And there's only one way to find out.
I know, yeah. Right. Exactly. Feel the fear. Feel the fear.
Exactly. I like it.
You brought up a lot of really interesting points there. I mean, I don't want to get too into you know, the nuances or too in the details of the differences between men and women. You know, let's not get too political. But I personally find that a really intriguing and interesting topic generally. And I won't politicize the conversation, because there's a lot of conversation about gender roles. For days. I know, right? I know. There's a lot of conversation about gender roles, but I mean, personally, I'll just say a brief comment. I think nature and nurture both play a role in how men and women behave, and carry themselves in the workplace.
Yes.
That's my personal view. So I think there's a lot that we as individuals can do to either challenge those preconceived notions or challenge our nature and our nurture in ourselves, but also challenge that nature and nurture in our environments around us. So again, when we're talking about building up people, building up other women in our industries, in STEM, for example, whether we're doing that for ourselves in our own current role, like you say, seeking the promotion that we don't quite think that we can do, but we probably can do, or we have like 80% of the skills available to us. So I think we should give ourselves and each other a lot of grace, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, great point. I love it. It's getting into, like you said, a little bit political. So let's break that up.
Let's go. Let's move away.
I have a little fun, just to get to know Magda a little better. Rapid fire questions. So,
okay, so I've got to say the first thing that comes into my mind.
First thing that comes into mind, one of those. All right. So, early bird or night owl for productivity?
Early bird.
Early bird, okay. Desk decor, minimalist or personal jungle?
I would probably say minimalist. Anyone that works with me would say, what the hell is going on? Jungle.
So
I'm going to say jungle.
Minimalist in your head. Okay.
It's jungle, usually fitness paraphernalia or like electrolytes over here. And anyway, jungle.
Nice.
Fitness jungle.
Bar outfit choice, classic suit or bold statement pieces?
Gym leggings.
Gym.
Third option.
All right. Meeting preferences, in person or virtual?
Ooh.
Depends on who it is.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think it maybe depends on my goal of the meeting, actually.
Yeah.
If it's relationship building, in person. Sometimes, I do love a Teams meeting because it can just be, so productive. But for building those rapports, like seeing the whites of people's eyes, plus actually, I think you find as well when you get on Teams, I don't know, sorry, this wasn't a very quick fire answer. When you get on Teams, and I do this as well, you might be eating your lunch and then looking at your phone and looking at your emails and doing all these other things and your phone's going and someone's talking to you and you're on a Teams call. Where you're in a meeting with someone, you can't do all those things. So you're actually focused on the thing.
I think the pandemic ruined, Teams for all of us.
The pandemic ruined a lot of things.
Yeah.
But, I think the technology is obviously fantastic. And in terms of like collaborating, working cross-border, even, working within my own organisation, the efficiencies that have been able to be brought by that and other technologies have been amazing.
Correct.
But,
there are
people
some
connection.
pitfalls. Yeah.
People connection.
Yeah, I personally think that it's like you can achieve so much more in a face-to-face meeting, like a 20-minute face-to-face meeting. And it's not just about people having their lunch. I find myself really distracted in like virtual meetings as well because I'm just like, oh, okay.
It's easier. It's easier. There's just lots of other things going on in your world.
Yeah. Okay. Learning new skills, formal education or self-taught?
Self-taught.
Yeah, for sure. Networking preference, professional events or casual coffee meetups?
Going to the gym and not networking. No. Again, that's people who know me will know sorry. I think that's really tough. I would say probably the latter of the two because I think there are so many events out there in the world. It's really difficult when you're really busy. And I know, we were just saying that you're a mother, lots of people have lots of commitments and other like things pulling on their time. How do you decide which event to go to?
Right.
You've got one evening a week, or do you go to this one meeting and then nobody turns up, or nobody from your sector turns up, or nobody useful turns up. So it can be really challenging identifying. So
you choose like don't go anywhere, just turn on Netflix.
Exactly. So I'll just go to the gym and don't go to anything. No. So the challenge is finding the right event that's going to pay dividends. I think.
Okay. What's your work-life balance strategy? Strict boundaries or flexible integration?
It's challenging. So I would probably preach or it's like do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
So I would say that there's far too much flexibility and blurring of the lines in my current life.
Yeah.
And I could definitely be better with
Okay.
the boundaries, because I think it's healthier at times.
Yes.
I think obviously it's context dependent, depends on your role. And it might not be, when I say context dependent, it might be that, okay, sometimes you can leave work at 5 p.m. and sometimes you can't. It depends what's going on in the business that you work for. And equally as well, it's personality dependent. I've worked with different CEOs that have a different style. Some of them really like you to be by their side in every meeting all the time.
Yeah.
Some of them are like, you can be in the US, as long as I can call you and get your advice, then that's absolutely fine. You know, so it depends on who
your ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Your career development focus: climbing the corporate ladder or expanding skill sets?
Why can't I do both?
You can, but if you had to pick one.
Damn. Sorry, climbing the corporate ladder or
expanding skill sets.
Well, I would say that one would obviously lead to the other. Probably where I'm at now, I would say expanding skill sets.
Okay. And the last one: decision making in high pressure situations, intuition or analysis?
I'm a lawyer, so I'd have to say analysis.
Analysis. All right. Great. I kind of knew the answer to that one. So thank you so much for being part of the rapid fire, and just your parting thoughts on to young inspiring women who want to like make it in the field of technology, law, energy sector, or overall just, grow up to be Magdalena. So what's your, advice to them, and, final thoughts that you would like our listeners to, be inspired by, I guess.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for having me. I think it's such an exciting time to be part of the artificial intelligence or the technology sphere. So I would definitely encourage anyone who's interested in advanced technologies, artificial intelligence. Now is the chance of a lifetime to become part of this, expanding, rapid paced, industry, whether that's from the technology side or from the regulatory policy compliance side of things, which is something I'm really passionate about as well. In terms of advice, kind of just generally across those sectors, I think a key component to my personal success, and something I've drawn on from my my career and also from my extracurricular kind of bodybuilding activities, is resilience. You're going to face people, circumstances, corporations in your career and in life that are going to, bring challenges to your door. And what I'd say is, if you can build a level of resiliency, not take things personally, which I think is really difficult to do. Again, I'll use kind of a cheesy Instagrammable phrase, but pressure really does make diamonds. And I found that it's those times of challenge and struggle that have really taught me the most, and that I've found most rewarding. And I'm definitely not saying, you have to work 25 hours a day. Please don't do that. Work smarter, not harder. And I would say, to that point, building in a level of boundaries, which I said I'm terrible at doing. Do as I say, not as I do. So building that resiliency, I think, can really, really help you navigate your career path. What I'd also say, and you're going to kill me for using too many
No, I love it. I love it.
I also love the phrase, again, my friends will know this about me, is if you're not happy in doing what you're doing right now, you are not a tree. You're not stuck where you are. You don't have roots.
You can move, you can change.
You can change. Yeah. Okay, I'm not saying change is really easy. It's definitely not. But you don't have to be stuck in a situation, a career, a prospect that you're not kind of passionate about. And again, I'm not saying everything should be super easy and fun, hunky-dory. But you can definitely find passion if you just do everything that I just said. Just follow all my advice, then everything will be wonderful.
No, that makes sense. I think the key takeaway, like for me from this conversation, is that you don't have to wait at dead ends, right? And just power through. so you kind of find the resilience to kind of power through. And I think that would be like a really inspiring thought for me as well. So thank you so much, Magda, for taking out the time to coming and talking to us. I love all the Instagrammable phrases because sometimes some of those phrases kind of stick in your mind, and it kind of makes you feel, okay, fine, you know what, I've heard this before and I can do this. So sometimes it is those cheesy quotes that helps you kind of get through your day, and I love it. So thank you so much. Thanks for your time, and wish you all the success, and hope you break all the glass ceilings from here on as well.
There aren't any. All
right. Great.
Thank
you so much, and thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned for more. Thank you, everyone.